Welcome to Santiago, Chile. Formula E has returned for the third round of Season 6. Now this is a city that has given us more than a few memorable race moments in its 2 seasons on the Formula E calendar so far. And given the nature and intensity of a Formula E race, we should expect to see plenty more of the same this weekend.
Oh, he's hit him! And Buemi's in the wall. Oh, he's been lifted up and turned around. Oh, look, Buemi's in! Buemi's in the wall! Bird's in the lead!
Yes, guys! Come on!
The opening 2 races of the season left us with a serious appetite to see how the rest of the season would unfold. Will the drivers that left Diriyah with only either 0 or just a handful of points and a little bit of a bitter taste in their mouth bounce back this weekend, or could we see more unexpected success from others who plan to keep the likes of veterans and former Formula E champions at bay? So with that in mind, let's dive into it and take a look at some of the key talking points ahead of round 3 in Santiago. The first weekend of Season 6 gave us 2 races to see who were going to be the teams and drivers to watch this season. We saw new manufacturer teams in the form of Mercedes-Benz EQ and the Tag Heuer Porsche Formula E team compete for the first time, both with podium finishes. We had drivers returning and new showing us that they mean business from the off. And some yet to play their cards thanks to the unforgiving circuit in Diriyah, mixed with a dose of bad fortune for others. We go again this weekend and the teams have had a decent amount of time to act upon any findings they might have come up with after rounds 1 and 2 and prepare themselves for the Santiago showdown. So let's start off with the track. A few what seem like simple changes to the layout, but will have a drastic effect on the race. So the opening sequence of corners that follow from the start straight now start with a near 90-degree left turn, following onto this long right-hander here, and then off into the same sequence of corners that we saw last season, turns 3 to 7. These changes to the first sector will see the chance of overtaking at turn 1 increase, but also manage the speed of the cars going into that first corner to avoid any potential red flag pile-up situation and keep the race going. Another change comes with the long left arching turn that makes up the bottom half of the circuit. The chicane from last season has been removed, making it one large uninterrupted curve and the fastest bit of the track. And finally, the double hairpins in the final sector are now the other way around. A right turn following into a left turn, leading onto the start-finish straight. It's important that the circuits that we race on adapt with the technology, and as that progresses, Formula E and the FIA make changes like this to circuits to help unleash the full potential of the cars. Partly responsible for those changes is the track design committee made up of Lucas de Grassi, Oliver Rowland and Jerome D'Ambrosio. So let's get their insight into the Santiago circuit.
I think, it's got a bit of everything. You've got some quite medium to high speed combined stuff in the first sector. You've got a very fast long back straight where braking is going to be extremely important into turn 9, and then you've got more of a typical Formula E hairpin in the last 2 corners. So I think as a track in terms of driving, it's got a lot of everything. In terms of racing, I would say that the energy management is in the middle.
Yeah, and a lot of overtaking points, I guess.
Yeah, I think well, now that the chicane is out, I think definitely turn
1,
9,
2,
the
3,
last 3.
4 overtaking points. Pretty much you can overtake.
Yeah,
and I think one of the specifics here is definitely the change in tarmac. I mean, you've got a layout, brand new tarmac that's quite high grip, and then you move into the lowest grip surface of the season. So as a driver, it's not
like Berlin, but even lower grip. No?
And very bumpy.
Yeah, very bumpy.
And yeah, you have to adapt that. In the car, it's not easy from jumping from one feeling in one corner, pushing there, knowing that you have to anticipate the next corner. You're not going to be able to push as hard, or even in turn 9, it's right in the middle. So your entry, you've got one grip, and then exit a completely different one. I think it's a challenging one for the engineers as well. It's warm, it's hot, so for tire deck, for temperature management, and so on. It's a challenging one, definitely.
So from the last year to this year, the chicane was removed. The chicane which Sims spun Mortara last year. There were a couple of crashes. I cut at the start. And Jerome was on the radio complaining for like 2.5 laps, saying Lucas cut the chicane. So to stop all of that, now there is no discussion. There's no way to cut. There is no way to gain advantage.
And in the initial reaction was well, we're having less braking zones, so we're going to have less overtaking. And Lucas and I jumped in and said, well, actually, that's not really true for Formula E, because what you're going to do is create a bigger coasting situation at the end of the straight, which then makes us much easier for us to make a move. And so it's not always straightforward, and in that aspect, I think it's good to get the driver's input.
Moving on to the drivers, reigning champion Jean-Eric Vergne had a very disappointing start to his campaign. He comes into round 3 with only 4 points to his name, one more than his teammate Da Costa, but not the start that he or the team would have wanted. Let's not forget that Jev had a run of pointless races in the first half of last season and went on to win his second championship. The difference is this season the target on his back is even bigger and the competition even stronger. So can the champ bounce back this weekend? The debut for Mercedes and Porsche caught us all off guard, with both teams completing their season objective of getting on the podium in their first race. Mercedes have a season of data and learnings with HWA at their disposal, alongside the very capable lineup of Stoffel van Dorn and reigning F2 champion Nick de Vries. And Porsche, being one of the most successful names in motorsport, have the invaluable mix of pre-existing team chemistry and experience in Formula E, with Neil Jani and Andre Lotterer behind the wheel. A strong start to their debut seasons for both teams, something they will of course be looking to continue here in Santiago. Beginner's luck, or are they here to change the game? Sam Bird battled his way from 5th to win the first race of the season in his pacey Envision Virgin racing car, with his teammate Robin Freins backing up that statement of speed, making up 7 places and finishing 5th. Both drivers were unlucky in round 2, but neither are worth underestimating this weekend, especially given that Bird got the win here last season and is clearly a fan of the circuit. And if we're talking about pace, we can't look any further than BMW I Andretti Motorsport driver Alexander Sims. 3 pole positions in a row and the win in round 2. Sims looked incredibly strong in Diriyah, bordering perfection when it came to race pace, energy management and attack mode strategy, so it seems almost senseless to underestimate both him and the team here. There are a few drivers who are yet to stamp their mark on the season, be it through bad luck, split-second mistakes, or the unforgiving qualifying format that we have in Formula E. The likes of former champions like Sebastian Buemi, experienced drivers like Da Costa, Mitch Evans, D'Ambrosio, and those with less time in Formula E, Felipe Massa, Pascal Wehrlein, Oliver Rowland, as well as this season's rookies. The list of potential goes on and on, very difficult to call, so this weekend could see a big switch up in the standings and make it even harder to even attempt to predict the rest of the season. One final bit of exciting news ahead of the race is that Driver's Eye, the new camera angle that was tested in Diriyah, is being rolled out fully here this weekend, so make sure to look out for that during the race. And on that, if you want to know where you can watch the race, then head over to FIAFormulaE.com/watch to find out everything you need to know. Let us know in the comments how you think this race will pan out, who will take the win, are we going to see another podium of German manufacturers and powertrains, and who will be leading the championship at the end of the race.